Right, we're streaming.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will work our way through 1C, which is the consent agenda. We do not have a quorum, so we'll be moving right through that item. Good of the cause, this is the section of the meeting where the board sets aside. Next up on the agenda is the reports to the board, first of which is the middle school student liaisons. Last meeting we heard from the high school students. This meeting we were privileged to have 3 of the middle school students with us. Like last meeting, these opportunities allow students to share with us their perspective and experiences in our school system. It provides the board with a perspective of what's going on in the school, so we thank you. We'll begin. We'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll turn it over to Dr. Catania. He can lead you through this, okay? So, Mr. Wood, would you like to?
Hi, Mr. Wood. I'm the business manager.
I'm Joan Valentine, and I'm a board member.
Dan Marvin. I have a son Nicholas and junior, and a daughter Juliana that's a freshman. Also a board member.
My name's Rick Preston. That's about all. All 3 of us, by the way, are all graduates of this school system. So we've been in your shoes. Me a long time ago. Joan, not so much. Dr. Catania.
I'm Dr. Catania, and I see you almost every day. I'm the superintendent of schools.
Hi, I'm Karen Angelopoulos. I'm the district clerk of the school board.
And so we are really glad you're here. And so I'm going to ask you to start by introducing yourselves to the members of the school board. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, and then you can answer them however you'd like to.
Can they do their presentation first?
But first you're going to do your presentation. So why don't you start by introducing yourselves and to take off on your presentation.
Okay. All right. I'm Noah Moody.
Sabil Skandra, and I'm Elisa Skandra.
So this year at the 7th grade level, we started a leadership course. This is our first year, our pilot year of this course, and Ms. Hutchins is the teacher. So these 3 fabulous students are part of a team of 9 students who have put this presentation together. So.
Leadership is a class where you interact and learn with others about the world and the people around you. It helps teach you that you can be a leader to anyone, and always giving someone a helping hand can make some mistake. You may never know what is going on in someone's life, even if they are the happiest person you meet. It helps you realize the person you are and you can't be.
And you see when I hit the enter button on the keyboard?
The purpose of leadership class is to help students learn not just to follow the path of others before them, but to forge their own path through life and also help others along the way. Also to prove that you don't have to be the perfect person to be the bigger person in any type of situation. So in leadership class we do fun projects. We do lots of projects. Posters and essays. They were all useful, fun, and inspiring. We talked about who we consider heroes, what we can do to become other people's heroes, and how we should try to be better people in general every day. Overall, in my opinion, leadership is a enjoyable, fun, and educational class.
We were asked to make a project about our hero. This could be anyone from celebrities to close family and friends. From there, we wrote a 5-paragraph essay about why the person we chose is considered a leader and a hero. After we completed our essays, we created a poster that we presented to the class. These posters were hung in the hallways for others to read and learn from.
So the Who Are We project, we worked on a project where we had to outline our faces, and then we filled them in with words that we thought described them, the outline. And yeah, that were our own leadership qualities. We had to describe ourselves, and it was fun to help others. This helped us build up our confidence and see who we really are.
In this project, we chose words out of magazines that describe our personalities. In this project, we learned more about ourselves and how different we are from one another. We decorated windows and created posters for around the school. These posters and drawings are to prove that anyone can be a hero and make somebody's day. The quotes were motivational and inspiring.
Alright, so the kindness calendar. We came up with the idea to create a calendar of events to promote positivity in the school. However, the quarter ended before we got the chance to do this. But the next quarter's group of kids created one for the month of December, and which is going on now.
Oh, thank you for
So now they'll have some questions.
Well, thanks, you guys. We really appreciate the presentation and sharing your experiences in your leadership class. And that's a new class this year, is that Yes. right? And it meets for 1 quarter.
1 quarter, yeah.
Right. Okay. And so that's news for the board because they're not familiar with leadership class. So that's really wonderful for you to share and to share all the good ideas that you're putting together and organizing, not just for yourselves, but it looks like for the whole middle school, because those posters are up on the walls so that everybody can see them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to ask you, though, are some additional questions, just more broadly, not necessarily right out of your leadership class, but really just about your experiences in school. And so we put this together so that our school board members have a chance to hear from real, honest-to-goodness students who live it every day. Because a lot of times, as you know, the grown-ups, we're not there with you all day long. Your teachers are, but often people like the school superintendent, the business manager, the school board, they're not. And yet, we are often making decisions about what goes on in school. And so, the more we know, the better those decisions can be. Okay? So, I'd like to just start out by asking you for, I'll call this the good news question, okay? And that is, what do you think are the strengths of your school? In other words, what does Lake Placid Middle School do particularly well, and you think it's a really good part of school? And I'm not going to call on you. I'm going to let you guys answer on your own, okay? Anissa, go ahead.
I think a big part of the middle school is the teachers, because they help you, and if you have a problem or anything, you solve it, and they help you solve it.
Another thing is they're really good, the teachers, at keeping the things interesting, and there's a lot of hands-on stuff, so you never get bored with anything, and yeah, they keep us interested for projects.
I also think, in classes, we have, a large variety of things. We do projects, essays, and a bunch of things.
You mentioned some of them up there already.
Yeah.
You gave us some examples.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Seb? Anything that comes to mind?
No, I really don't.
That's good enough. Okay. Anything else you want to share about good things that you think are going on in the middle school?
So yeah, most, all the kids basically, they're nice and stuff. It's a good environment, pretty much no matter what the grade level is, except for a couple kids. So yeah.
Yeah, and then when there's those couple kids, they always get that, so we don't really have a problem.
Great. So sometimes I'll bet when you're in school or you're thinking about school, I bet you there are some things that maybe you think could be better. And sometimes it's harder to talk about those things, but it's really important, I think, that we hear of what things that you think, you know, it's okay if they're good but could be better, but even if you don't think they're not so good and could be better, we'd like to hear that from you too. So what do you think? What are some areas of school that you think could be improved?
I think we should have like more field trips, like grade field trips, so you can like interact with more people in the grade.
Have you gone on any field trips this year yet?
We're going on Friday. I don't know,
We're
did we
going
go
on Friday.
anywhere?
Right, Friday you're going to the movies and
Oh, yeah.
skating, right?
Skating, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so field trips is one thing you think we could improve.
Yeah.
What else?
No.
You know what we talk about a lot here is the cafeteria.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we should have more of a variety because usually you have like, in a month you have like the same things in like certain weeks and there's not really a lot of new things.
Like they used to switch up every Friday. They always have pizza. They sort of switch it up.
And also, like, I think sometimes, like, me and some of my friends will, like, try to go down and sit with some of our 6th grade friends, but then some of the, like, lunch monitors, they, like, won't let us or something. And, yeah, maybe we should be able to sit with other grades.
So you think more field trips and improve the cafeteria and everything will be great? Or maybe there's something else you think?
I was gonna say the water.
Go for it.
Say it.
It like tastes weird sometimes, and it's warm.
You mean out of the water fountains?
Yeah.
This week we had last week we had an unusual thing where the water was, you know what happened.
Yeah.
And so we put water out in the hallways. Was
Yeah.
that water better?
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about, if you don't mind me asking, in the gymnasium, there's a water fountain that's filtered.
That's a good one.
Is that one a good one?
Yeah, but it's usually not cold. Like,
But it's not that cold.
It was also, like, when you had, like, the jugs out, because, like, something, I don't know what it was, happened with the water fountains. Like, it was also kind of nice for some kids, I think, like, to be able to, like, take the cups, like, with them to class or something, and then, like, throw them out there, but, like, some kids didn't bring water bottles, probably, so, like, they can still bring that, though.
So, if you were in charge, someday you might be, right? What would you do? What would you, if you were in charge, if you were Mrs. Lindsay, or me, or the school board, what's one thing you might do?
I don't know.
You guys can think about that and chime in later if you come up with something. That would be all right. School board members might have some questions for you. How about it? Any questions for our student panel?
I've got a general one. How many students are in the leadership?
Well, in our first quarter, maybe
I think 9?
Yeah, there's none.
9.
So
And that stays the same?
it's offered it's a mini,
Okay.
So it's offered every quarter, and the thought process was to have every seventh grader rotate through.
Okay, great.
Any other questions from board members?
Through the activities that you did you find anything about yourself that you didn't know before? Like, did it make you,
Yeah, like it kind of makes you see things differently, like the way you talk about stuff. And like when we did the project on like the heroes or whatever, you learn stuff about them that you didn't know, like challenges they faced and stuff. And then it kind of makes you feel like, wow, they had a lot harder life than us.
Who are your heroes?
Mine was a soccer player who like, he's basically like stopped a lot of like racism and stuff.
Mine?
Yes.
Mine was Steph Curry.
Basketball player.
Mine would be like my parents. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. Sorry to ride your question.
no, it's okay, no.
Dan, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Oh, I have something else.
Okay.
So another thing that I would change is like in sports, somebody said that there's like a rotation about like uniforms, and I don't think they're like a big thing, but I think maybe like instead of like I don't know how much it is for new uniforms, but I feel like maybe like every 2 years or something we would get new uniforms in like a section, like maybe basketball would get it one year, and then the next year soccer would get it.
Like on a rotation?
Yeah.
What do you play, Nisa?
Well, I play like 3 sports. I do soccer, basketball, and softball.
How old are your uniforms?
Our ones for soccer, since we don't have a JV team, I don't know how old those ones are. And then the ones that we have for basketball, I think might be like old because the varsity boys and the girls got new ones. And then I haven't played softball yet this year. Yes, and soccer.
I was gonna say waking up in the morning.
Say again, Seth?
I was gonna say waking up in the morning.
Waking up in the morning is something you'd like to see changed?
You wanna come earlier?
No, I want to.
Cause I'm up at 5,
You know
so
what,
we
Jen?
can start at 6,
You're not the
that
first
works
person
for
who
me.
said that. So we're tuning in. This is a good chance for you to share with the school board anything else that you might have on your mind. You shared wonderful things about leadership, you answered all my questions. Is there anything else you think our school board should know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, we waited like not too long, but like I would say pretty long, because last year when like the ramp was closed, I was like late almost every single day. So I think the ramp like should be open soon instead of waiting even longer.
Because in the winter time you have to like walk down this when it's really cold and.
We're gonna get that to happen very soon.
Yeah. Do you know like when it's gonna be open?
She wants a
A
date.
date and time.
Me too,
Way to go,
yeah.
girl.
I think we all want that.
Do you have anything? Not really.
Anything else before we go?
I've got a question. Is the construction project, do you know what's going on?
No.
You don't? You don't hear things?
Which,
well,
the fence
floor
or,
shakes. The floor.
wait, the fence or the ramp?
The whole thing, the whole project.
Well, the fence, you can like feel like the floor shaking, but over here, unless you're in like a room that's like right next to it, you can't really
Like
notice
Miss
it.
Hutchins or
Like if you're in like social studies and they're working on the ramp, you'll hear like noise, and then one time our teacher, Miss Bird, thought somebody was whistling. Somebody was whistling to the noise of what the machines are making. And then while they're working on the fence, it'll be like really quiet, and then you'll see like the screen shaking, and you'll be sitting down and you feel the floor shaking.
Thank you. There's generally more of us here, there's generally 7. I apologize for the only 3 of us. I think the 4 other people missed out on a great opportunity to hear from you. Unfortunately, different things come up and that happens. My apologies to you. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank the 3 of you for coming here, coming out on a, I don't know, is it still cold out there or it's snowy a little bit? Yeah, but coming out tonight and sharing everything with people you don't always get a chance to talk with, and maybe showing that, I don't know, I heard today in the assembly about courage and showing a certain kind of courage to be willing to speak up when it's important. And you've really done that here. I want to say thanks to all 3 of you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Unless you really want to stay.
Thanks for coming, Ms. Hutchins.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, this is your one.
Okay, moving right along here. Budget status report. Mr. Wood.
We're moving along very nicely. As you can see, I mean, we're basically right on par with last year. If I showed you the last 2 years, probably the same in terms of our revenue versus expenses. There isn't a lot of changes here in terms of that. One number to note, I think I noted it last time as well, is the use of money category in the revenue. And that is interest that we're getting from our operating accounts and stuff like that. So that is a larger number than last year, and that's just money that's kind of put into our sweep account, and it generates interest and all that. And right now, in terms of what we're getting, it's a fairly competitive rate. And since we are heavy in tax revenue at this time, there's a lot of money sitting in the sweep account, and you can see that on the Treasury report in terms of almost $19 million sitting in the cash sweep. So that kind of goes hand in hand. The market is doing fairly well, and as a result, we're generating more revenue than anticipated when it comes to that piece. Expenditure, the same thing, a little more this year than last year, about 3% difference than the same time last year. But nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary in that regard. As we said, we talked about it last time. A good portion of that is because of BOCES payment that we made in July. That is under the contractual BOCES line. So there's a much larger number than in previous years, just because of the timing of the payment is when it comes down to that. So, but all in all, things are still progressing very nicely, and you can see that in the Treasury report as well, in terms of all of our cash disbursements and our reserves account and things like that, and what we have on hand. I think in the time of the year that lends itself because of the tax collection, and we haven't gotten more into it in terms of paying our bills down as the year progresses and the budget moves along. So questions on the budget or treasurer? Not a lot of outstanding checks this time around, just about $69,000.
David?
All set.
Okay. Next up is health and safety for buildings and grounds.
As you can see, it was a lightly attended meeting, very similar to this. We don't need a quorum in that, so it's whoever showed up. And we basically did our quarterly meeting in terms of looking at the capital project and the updates. The contractors meeting was the week before, so we talked about that and updating everyone in terms of where they were, what was open, what was closed for the project's schedule. I believe that was shared with you, the schedule that provides probably at the last meeting in terms of progress. As we talked about it, they're still working on revising a tentative long-term schedule from their original one as things come into play and changes, as you know. The students brought up a good point in terms of when is the ramp going to open up again? According to the original schedule, it was the end of September. That's not the case. But we found that with just about all of our projects in terms of that, not really staying on in regards to that. Building update, each building just kind of did a review of some of the projects that they had done and were working on. A lot of these were a carryover from our last quarterly meeting that we had. So nothing really new in that regard. Still talking about interior door replacements at the middle high. Kind of putting that on hold because of the capital project and asbestos. One thing that did come out is we will be, at the beginning of January, Ambient will be here to do a walkthrough so that we can complete our tri-annual report, the IHEAR report. Basically, it's sort of like an asbestos building condition report. They'll go through all the rooms and basically survey and identify potential hot spots and things like that, so that we have that on file. It's something that has to be done every 3 years, and we were a little out of compliance with that report. Really technically speaking, anytime a contractor comes in to do work on this, they should be asking for this report so that they know where the potential risks are. So that's happening January 2nd and 3rd. Ambient will be here to kind of complete it. And they've already done a lot of the testing anyway through the abatement process. So it just kind of made sense to continue using them because they had I think he said like 600 different samples they've taken since the beginning, and that they have all in file that they can kind of tie into that as well. That's kind of where we were with that meeting.
Great. Any questions? No? Thank you. Superintendent's report.
All right. Well, I wanted to share a couple of topics with you today. One, I want to continue talking about where we are in terms of the state budget projections, an important component of our school district budget. And as always, we're getting recommendations. We're hearing recommendations about what that budget should be as we move into the new year. So I'll talk about that, and I also want to just kind of give you an update on where we are at the schools and what's happening this week as we approach the long break. So first with the budget, you might remember that last week I shared with you the first recommendation on state aid for education that came from the Educational Conference Board. And that was that group of 6 or 7 independent agencies that care about public education, and they recommended an increase of $2.1 billion in state aid for all school districts over last year. So that was the Educational Conference Board. Now we have the second recommendation. This one is coming from the Board of Regents. And they met last Monday and Tuesday, so I wanted to just share with you a brief summary of what their recommendations were. The Regents asked for an overall increase of $2.0 billion, a little bit less than what the Educational Conference Board recommended. And the Regents was very much focused on this issue of foundation aid. And foundation aid is, of course, very important statewide. It's integral in terms of the equalization movement that came out of the last decade, and has an impact on Lake Placid Central School District as well. So what's the Regents recommending? They're recommending that almost all of that growth in state aid, $1.9 billion out of the $2.0 billion they're recommending, go to foundation aid. And they're seeing it as the first stage of a 3-year phase-in for foundation aid. At least that's what they would like to see. They would like to see foundation aid be fully funded, which right now is not. And so they see a gap of $3.8 billion. They would like to see phase in over the course of the next 3 years, with half of that coming in the next year, $1.9 billion. They also recommend that foundation aid be indexed for inflation, which right now it is not. So as you know, anytime you're not indexed for inflation and inflation continues to move the prices up, you're actually getting an implicit cut. And so they're recommending that indexing, and then they also want to use a small amount of money, $1.2 million, to research and recommend changes to the foundation aid. As I'm sure you've heard, including last week, the Educational Conference Board's recommendations all about updating and fine-tuning the formulas for foundation aid, many of which are based on indexes and numbers that come from 2007, 2000 was one of them. So they really want to see a little bit of research go into making changes towards the foundation aid formula. So we'll see where all that goes. In terms of Lake Placid, we're considered a hold harmless school district when it comes to foundation aid. And what that means is that we are already funded higher than the foundation aid formula. So you'll always hear us use this term hold harmless, and that means that when the state tunes up or fine-tunes foundation aid, the recommendation for districts like ours and many, many rural districts across New York State are in the same situation we're in, to not, to advocate to not be cut, basically, because we're overfunded in terms of what foundation aid recommends, and therefore, if they did go right on to foundation aid, it would actually be a decrease for us. So we'll always be considered, at least for now, a hold harmless district, and typically the recommendation is for at least a small increase even for a hold harmless district. So I know we're going to hear that again. I'm just bringing that up, I think probably for the second time. So the regents are talking long and hard about foundation aid, and then they have some additional recommendations. And $82 million of their recommendation is to increase certain reimbursement aids. So this is separate from foundation aid. Of course, when we say our state aid number is $2.7 million, that includes foundation aid plus reimbursement aid. So the reimbursement aid they're talking about is transportation aid, BOCES aid, and private excess cost aid. They would like to see those be increased with this new budget. And then in addition to that, they're recommending a $26 million increase to pre-K funding statewide, and they would like to see 2,000 students statewide added to the pre-K rolls. Those are small pieces compared to the foundation recommendations. So the Board of Regents is out there making recommendations. They're the last one we're going to hear from before the governor. We'll hear from the governor in early January, and then it goes to the legislature, and that's where all the negotiations begin. So, any questions about state aid recommendations? All right, well, I'll move on to us here in Lake Placid. So we're getting close, 3 more days, and then there's a break, and you kind of feel it in the school buildings. A lot of good things are going on. You may have heard reference to the assembly today at the middle and high school. A long assembly to start the day, and then a series of smaller meetings with the group of people who presented in the morning. Really an outstanding experience for students, and I think for all of us as well, staff and faculty. So that was kind of exciting today. But as you know, there's a lot of other things going on. The musical celebrations we've been having. We had a middle school concert, we had a high school concert. The musical celebrations continue tomorrow with the Lake Placid Elementary School concert for grades 3 through 5. And even though it's the elementary school concert, it'll be located in the auditorium. And my guess is they'll fill up that auditorium with parents and other community members ready to enjoy the show for the kids. So that's tomorrow. Also at the elementary school, their annual holiday lunch is scheduled for Thursday. And that's when the grown-ups serve the kids, and that's a nice experience. They're always looking for volunteers in case you know of anybody who is interested. They can always contact Laura Coffin at the elementary school. She's organizing that event. And then Friday at the elementary school is Polar Express Day. So pajamas are the expected attire for the day. That's for kids and teachers, I believe. So that will punctuate their celebrations before vacation. Lake Placid Middle School, you heard it mentioned earlier, Friday is a special movie and a skating day. So middle school kids will be enjoying that. And then there are also some important events at Lake Placid High School for Lake Placid High School students. And these include the senior dinner. Some of you are well aware of what the senior dinner is. This is a tradition hosted by the Lake Placid Alumni Association, as well as the faculty and staff. So these volunteers are coming in, they're cooking a complete turkey dinner with all the fixings for our future graduates, as well as other invited guests, including their teachers. It's a great day for our seniors to reflect on their long career in school that's coming to a close, as well as to think about their futures. And in terms of their future, earlier in the day, we'll be hosting a graduate panel for both our juniors and our seniors. And that's when our graduates, our alumni come back and they speak about their experiences to their younger brothers, sisters, classmates in the junior class. It's a really great day. We are hoping to have a range of experiences, not just the first 3 months in college, which sometimes is the case because those are usually the most enthusiastic students who want to come back, or graduates who want to come back. But we think it'd be great to have students who have experiences in college as well as work, and also in the military. And we're also hoping to see alumni who are more than 1 year out of high school, because they just offer that broader perspective to our students. So, how do we do that? Well, we just put the word out and hope that students come, our graduates come. So if you do know of any recent graduates, or maybe even a little longer, we'd love to have them here Friday. That's 8:30 to 10 o'clock to speak with students as a part of this panel. And you can't have enough, so the more the merrier there. High school counselor Connie Handmaker is putting that together, and so they can always reach out to her with any questions or just to get any kind of information. So that's for the students, but at 10 o'clock, the alumni will also meet with the grown-ups. And that means teachers, administrators, and any interested board members who would like to attend. I think you attended last year, Dan. I think you attended before, Rick. So this is a great opportunity for us. It's sort of like our middle school students. This is how we get feedback. This is how we learn about how we're doing. This is how we learn about the things that we're doing really well. And this is also how we sometimes learn about things that we need to improve so that we help our graduates down the road be prepared for whatever it is that they are going to be doing. So it's a great chance. I know I always look forward to hearing from our graduates every year. I love to hear their feedback. And if you or others are able to make it and would like to attend, I'd encourage you to do so. It's a nice opportunity for that. Doesn't come around very often. So, yeah.
Is there a room for that? Yeah.
Still in the to be announced.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, we haven't scheduled it before yet. I think last year we were in Mr. Gotham's room. Other than that, I think that probably we have a lot of people to thank for the kinds of celebrations and exciting and unique experiences that our kids receive year-round, and especially at this time of year. I think we should really be thanking the entire community because the community and the school work together this time of year to do some really nice things. I think that also includes the business community, the Whiteface Lodge that hosted our elementary school students there last week, providing them with a skating opportunity and lunch and a movie and just kind of a magical experience. That was really wonderful for our kids. The Palace Theater that's hosting our students elementary today, middle school on Friday, but also our alumni, our parents, and our staff that really go the extra mile this time of year, really make special experiences for our kids. And last but not least is our board members who really help set the stage and provide the foundation for all this that happens. So thank you very much, and thank you to our friends here and in the community for all that they do for our students. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you very much. Information for the board, there are 3 pieces of information. Extracurricular activities report, there's 2 items related to the January 9th program on mental health at our schools. It's taking place in Plattsburgh. I think, what's the deadline on that one?
It's coming up here, I think it's tomorrow.
And then a copy of the tenure recommendation of the individual we discussed in our last
It's
meeting.
the 20th.
Okay. That's a while away, isn't it?
Friday.
3 days. You got time.
Everybody's shopping in between there. Linking goals with agenda items. Anybody have anything? The middle school presentation, of course.
Definitely.
Anything else? If you can think of anything or come up with anything, please let Karen know. Otherwise, we'll move right along. Capital project update. There is a single file there in our documents and board docs of the summary spreadsheet, which reveals an uncommitted balance of 1.144 approximately. Anything anybody wants to go over regarding that?
You've heard us talk about some of the projects going on. I'll mention a few. You can mention a few. You know, we are, believe it or not, getting to that point where the ramp is going to be done soon. We're pretty sure that the walls are already up. We're waiting for the glass to go in. So that's moving along. The loading dock at the elementary school is very close to being finished. They just need to put a little bit of they already have the roof. They just need to cover the roof of the new ventilator system that's in there. But that's looking in pretty good shape. The staff bathrooms that were upgraded to meet handicap standards. The top floor, those are open and being used. The bottom floor they're making progress now as well. They're still behind the upper floor there. And we have coming up over the holidays, we have we'll have construction workers here much of the time, and we'll be doing some additional asbestos abatement. Much of this is planned in areas behind and above classrooms.
Yeah, they're starting to work on the team room, the old team room. They have to, it's right next to a mechanical room. They have to put up a firewall because of work being done, the electrical panels. They're removing the shower in there as well as the fixtures and all that, capping them so that they can be used. And, you know, if we wanted to open up the sink and the toilet again, we can. So they're starting to do that as well.
And the upper wall outside, as you know, is
As you can tell.
being worked on, as we've discussed. Anything else that you can think of?
No.
Or any questions you have for us?
No.
Give permission to leave the crane in the middle of the road overnight.
I did go to
Should
the
have seen that.
sidewalk.
Should have seen that crane navigating these little corners over here. My
You've
goodness.
been here Monday morning when they brought in the wall, the steel.
Was that the culprit?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly, our fiber optic line. Well, I think it was Orta as well, it wasn't just us
Oh, yeah.
that lost it, yeah.
There are no change orders to be reviewed or approved. 5 requires majority, as does 6. I don't know if we can, is there any urgent? We have long-term, that's, she's here, she's working, correct? The recommended person, so
Well,
that's not
so
gonna drive us
our
down.
appointments are urgent in terms of having them So for example, these appointments are needed for after the holidays.
Right.
So we might want to discuss what to do about that.
Okay. We can, would you like to discuss that now?
Might as well.
I think you have two options, basically, right? One is that we,
Special meeting.
Special
one is
meeting.
the special meeting, the other one is we wait until to 7. That's really it.
And, you know, the long-term teaching substitute, and they say, I think she's here, I think that's, yeah, we need to appoint that, but more importantly is this the SEA
I think so.
appointment, so. What's, you're not available in the mornings, like early?
Depends on the day.
Okay. I know we've had some success in having a, you know, a 7:30 or 7:30 meeting. It's, you know, 15 minutes just to.
Wednesdays or Fridays I could do.
Okay. What's your?
Next Wednesday?
Sure. You can just
You're
leave my
off.
house.
I'll
Serve breakfast.
I know this Friday's the alumni,
The presentation thing.
but
It's
it's
not
at
till,
8:30, so.
not till 10 for the
Right,
grown-ups. Yeah.
right.
So it wouldn't really be an issue.
I'll make myself available.
Okay, let me reach out to, between Karen and I, to see if we can get a quorum for Friday morning. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
And we would just bring all of the action items.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct. Yeah, open the meeting and then have the action items.
Right.
Okay. Brings us right to the
Friday
second.
at what time?
I'm gonna shoot for just 7:30, too late, Joe?
No,
It's too early? I know it's not too early.
it's not too early.
That'll give some people the opportunity
This is the 20th.
to correct.
I'm up at 5 and kids arrive at 7. So. I can bring them.
Sure. It's an open meeting.
Plenty of room.
That's right.
Good of the cause, the second good of the cause is in here to discuss agenda items. If Elizabeth, you're not willing to stand up and address the board, we'll move right on. Right into the adjournment phase. You have your next meeting dates and locations aside from the one on December 20th, projected to be at 7:30, pending a quorum. Old agenda topics, anything anybody wants? I don't think there's anything left there. New topic items, I put in what we had discussed a bit about selecting those that are willing to serve on the negotiation teams.
Yes.
So we'll probably table that till maybe we can just ask for on Friday as well, if anybody's interested. Put that out ahead of time in an email and we'll get just a verbal confirmation of attendance to that. So. Anything else? If not, we won't motion and we won't move, we'll just get up and leave.
Take our stuff and go home.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
I served as a teacher in the background.
Elizabeth, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for our lack of business. It happens.
It was worth it for the students.
Yeah, she's a
Yes,
teacher.
that's for sure.
Oh,